Good morning, and we are live now with Mehra Mamdouh, and this is our third episode together. Thank you, Mehra, for taking all this long shot together, and hopefully we still have a lot to talk about the culture conversations. Mehra is a culture transformation consultant and coach, and she has been doing this for around 11 years now, and being a people development arena for about 17 years now. Mehra is really coming in with a huge experience in different cultures and working with leaders to create better working environments. And actually, we are blessed that we have you today. And welcome, Mehra. Yeah.
Welcome, Sharaf. Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I've
Uh,
been blessed actually to work with you at many stages of these years in different assignments, and I really love actually these discussions. Yeah, the last two times when we met, actually we talked about the culture, what is the corporate culture, and then we talked about how to select employees actually for to be culturally fit in the organization. And it was really an
yes,
amazing discussion with different examples. And I would like to refer to anyone who is watching this episode to refer to these two. But today, what the main question that we want to ask is how is culture being, how is culture cultivated in the organization? If we don't, if we unconsciously leave it actually to just happen, what are the
yes,
dynamics that form the culture?
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
This is an amazing question, and I hope that we can cover a little bit of the answer at this time. So, when you look at the organization culture, it actually lots of it's a culture is part of the system of the organization system, and as we said before, it's how we collectively behave. It's the norms, the values, the leadership profile. It's everywhere and reflected on everything. When you go and look at the organization culture, usually where I look at three things. The first thing is the system itself, the policies, the procedures, all the hard side of the organization. And believe it or not, policies play a huge part in creating the organization culture, the desired organization culture that we aim for. The other thing is the leadership profile, and the management practices, how leaders are the behavior manifestation of the values that we either we say that espouse values, the values that we say that these are the values that our culture is driven by, or the real values that maybe it's playing a role subconsciously in the organization. And the third area where we look at is the individual values, and that's why we last time we were talking about getting the culture fit, and making sure that people are culturally fit. Not only that we look at their technical capabilities, expertise, added value in terms of experience and all that, but also we look at their culture fitness, because if their own personal values are not aligned with the desired values that we want to have and see in the organization, there will always be frustration. These people will not be engaged, and they will not be adding the perceived values that the perceived value that we thought that they will. So, individual values, leadership profile, and management practices, policies and procedures, and the hard side of the organization. Um, when you look at the especially if we want to zoom into the leadership profile and the impact of the leadership profile that we have on the organization culture, you can see lots and lots of different examples of cultures. Like for example, if you have the this this leadership who gives accountabilities but holds authority, So you have managers, you have employees who are accountable, who should be achieving something. However, on the other hand, they don't have the authority to make decisions and to move forward with the daily tasks. And this creates what is called squeeze culture. People are squeezed between their accountabilities and lack of authority. And again, this is an impact of leadership practices and management practices that might lead to having this culture in the organization.
Wow.
Another example, yeah, yes,
Mm.
please.
Yes, and actually, this example that you're talking about accountability, I believe working with organizations, yani, that we work with, yani, when the founder is actually putting everything on his shoulder and not
Yes,
aware that these people who he is hiring to support him actually in different elements are not only used for these little things that he started trusting them in, and that he still doesn't
yes,
have to carry it all on his shoulder.
yes,
At this
yes,
moment, I believe that hoarding power and hoarding, this kind of, that I'm the
authority.
doer, I'm the hero, I'm the founder, I'm the person who is in charge, I know everything, this kind of energy that comes in,
Yes,
especially that, that's the the mishaps that happen during the founding period. They
yeah,
always form a nature of distrust, mostly in lots of leaders, and it has to,
yes,
actually, most of the leaders at this stage have to actually come out of their skin and come out of their mishaps and their mistrusts and their doubts to work with
yes,
creating a culture of accountability and empowering their
yes,
their employees and their followers actually to create a culture of accountability inside the organization. So it's, when I see this happening, especially when organizations are moving from the founding and startup stage into the being a small or a medium enterprise, that's really with a system and dynamics. At this stage, the leader has to actually take another transformation to release the hoarding of power that he had during the foundation period, and it's really difficult. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and that's why organizations transform when the leaders transform. When someone tries to implement a culture transformation program or a change management, whatever they call it, and but and the leader uh, refuse to be part of this transformation, part of this change, part of this journey, and thinking that I wanted to change the system, change policies, change management, change structure, change whatever you want, but I will stay the same. The organization do not transform. So it starts with the transformation of the leadership of the organization. I totally agree with you. And they only start to understand the importance when they see the impact. I always like uh, to stress on this at this point, the impact of how you behave, the impact of your decision on the organization, the impact on the system. This is when leaders start to understand the importance of transforming in order for their organizations to transform as well. Another example of cultures that is that you might say see in organization driven by the leadership profile is what they call the shadow culture. It's when policies do not play a role and we don't have guidelines. It's only what the leader do, what the founder do, and we follow. So for example, if you have someone who is always a leader that doesn't put so much emphasis on time and respecting time, after a while his management team will do the same, all the employees will do the same, and you will see this reflected on meetings, missing deadlines, the brand, the company itself, how customers perceive this organization will be that they don't respect time. If the leader is not financially conscious and just would miss on things that at the end, when collected or when summed up, it hinders the organization performance badly. Again, the rest of the organization will follow and will do the same. And in order to correct something like that in the organization, you need to have guidelines, you need to have policies in place. And this is where policies and guidelines are really important in order to change the shadow culture. It's another form. I'm sure that you have seen lots and lots of examples of this shadow culture throughout your career, especially in startups.
I believe that when we are not conscious, yani this is something that we are when we're not conscious that the way that we did business and that helped us to start business in the beginning is not the same thing that will take us into having a steady, sustainable, growing business.
Yes,
What helped
yes,
us come here is not the same thing that will get us there. And
yes,
we don't actually form systemic way to actually empower people, take culture and focus policies into place and practice and allow ourselves to learn as leaders. I guess this is where lots of cultures fail. When you go to an organization where there is a huge success, you see something like there are something like 3,000 or 4,000 employees, and it's huge buildings everywhere. And then it tells you just point out there, and you will find out that it's all of this is around a one-man show. Still,
yes.
Mr. So and so is still calling people on
Yeah.
who's on himself to get things done.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
what a pity.
yeah,
So, what are these 3,000 or 4,000 employees doing?
yeah.
So, he's still finishing things with him doing the call. And
Yes.
you start what? And they're mostly, and in some industries are actually, based on engineering, construction, project management. It's having already an intellectual, accountable, individuals who are really pursue more empowerment. Their main drive is actually taking empowerment to work on themselves, and it boils down to that all the relationships, all the power, there is no culture of accountability there. He doesn't trust engineers who are
Yes.
there in the company for 15 and 20 years to do the call, to have
So
these
it's back to
relationships.
the squeeze culture. Yeah, well, the example that you're sharing, when the organization is really, the idea is really great, successful, the organization is growing. However, everything again, people are being asked to meet certain objectives, but they don't have the enough authority, the enough. Empowerment in order to make their own decisions and everything, and it's all being managed by this person. But it's the squeeze culture. When the shadow culture is a bit different. It's when people uh, know that the in order for me to succeed in this organization, in order for me to be perceived as an important person in the organization, I will miss deadlines because missing deadlines is the what the leader of the organization or the founder of the organization is doing. In order for me to be again perceived as successful in the organization, I will do handle. I will start making calls and everything early evening. We start the day afternoon, not early. Why? Because the leader of the organization is following this pattern. So after a while, having 5 to 10 working hours is not important. Why? Because we all are following the leader of the organization in the behavior pattern, and we start our day at 12 noon. So it's a different form of culture that you can see in the organizations. People feel empowered. People feel that they have the right to make decisions and everything. But actually, is what you're doing is really helping the organization, or you're just following leadership profile or the founder behavior patterns and profile. And after a while, this would definitely impact the performance of the organization badly. Actually, another form of the organization culture that you can see is the crisis culture, and this is where the leader, as you mentioned, all the strings are linked to this person. He is acting as a bottleneck. Bureaucracy is everywhere, and no one can make a decision without getting back to him or to her, checking if they approve or not, even for simple things in their area of expertise. And this definitely creates a crisis culture. And the problem with the crisis culture is that because this person acts as a bottleneck. Our decisions, handling customer complaints, making a timely decision, making changes on a timely manner, all that is delayed, and simple problems turns into crisis because of that. So it's another form of organization, of a culture that you can see in organization, again driven by the leadership profile that we have.
I think
Another
that
form, yes,
in some situations, I guess it's the pattern of that when I do a mistake, this is when I'm seen. When
okay,
I have an opportunity to discuss things with my leaders and be seen by him, when I screw things over, when I miss deadlines, when it is something like, I'm not seen unless I do a mistake. So I would love to be seen often and often, and actually it becomes a pattern, in a way.
yes,
It's a way to grab attention, especially that if you find that
yes,
somebody is doing their work and nobody's acknowledging them, nobody's telling them you're
yes,
doing a good job, and they are unseen, they are not promoted, they are
yes,
not actually seen as achievers. And those who do mistakes and recover themselves quickly because of an escalation, because of and actually they're seen while they're doing this, while they're saving the day.
yes,
So
yes,
actually, this is when leaders look at them, when they actually start taking an action, responding to the action with a corrective action in a blink of time. And this moment is the moment when I feel seen, and this creates a culture,
yes,
that yeah, I will only
definitely,
when I don't see those who are performing well and they're meeting their deadlines and they're doing their job fluently, nobody's complaining, nobody's coming in for a crisis, nobody's coming in for a risk, and
yeah.
these people are actually not seen because despite their being
Mm.
consistent, deliberate, accountable, those who are seen, the ones who are screwing up every day or every now and then,
Yeah,
and performing and
yeah,
taking steps. Yeah,
yes,
wow, you did it. Yes, the
yeah.
customer is happy now.
Mm.
Yeah, the others have already happy customers, but you never
Mm.
know. So maybe
Yeah,
this is something.
I like the, yes, I like the way you're actually yes, because recognition in being seen is a need. Everyone needs recognition, and I think that this is a topic that you have been talking about how leaders feel lonely because leadership is you don't go and tell your manager you did a great job. So but it's a need. Everyone needs recognition, everyone needs to be seen. So if the management practices in the organization and the guidelines that we are operating by are not supporting us or not helping us to see and recognize the top performers, people who are doing a great job. However, they are not making a big noise around it. If it's not helping us to see these people, definitely other limiting behaviors will pop up in the organization. One of these behaviors might be that I do mistakes so people can see me. I like how you yeah, it's interesting, yeah, Sharaf. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mara. And I
uh,
believe that here the guidelines
mm,
and policies and actually putting them in place to recognize
yes,
people, to
yes,
see performance management, to count the mistake as a mistake and actually the learning as a learning, and saving the day as a
mm,
saving the day, and putting this with equal something like just a justifiable system, something like putting norms for for dealing with these with the employees to feel actually seen and recognized all the time, whether they did well, they screwed up, they learn from their screwing up, whatever is happening, they're seen and they're acknowledged for their actions,
Yes, yes.
doing the things the first time, right
That's
time.
why, yeah.
Mm.
Yes, and here where the guidelines and policies in the organization may play a limiting role in the organization progress, and they may play enabling role in helping the organization to grow and perform. I might have policies. The performance management system can sometimes play a limiting role if it's not perceived as a development tool, if it's not perceived as a tool that helps us share continuous feedback, improve, develop, and if it's perceived like it's a tool in order to decide on the just only to decide on the bonus, the raise, who will get promoted, and all that. Here it acts as a limiting component in the organization, and the first example, it acts as an enabling component in the organization. So policies, processes, systems that we have, guidelines, whatever, name it, can play a limiting or an enabling role in um, creating the desired culture or having the right culture in place that is aligned with our mission and vision and aspirations.
Wow,
So
that's
definitely, yes. Yeah.
that's amazingly articulated. So actually working with actually putting culture in focus will definitely impact policies that and guidelines working with employees.
Big time, big time. Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
big time. Actually, it's one of the things that when I go to a company and uh, where where changes is needed in the current culture, and we want to move to transform the culture. One of the main components that I look at are the guidelines, the policies that we have. Is it aligned with what we want, with the desired values in the desired destination where we want to be, or is it hindering, or is it playing like it's not playing a role, either or. So definitely, guidelines, policies, systems, processes, management practices, management competencies are components that impact the culture big time.
So I believe that working with organizations to check all of this, it's something like you're doing an organization health check. You're doing something like. So what
Yeah,
are the
like
quick ways to check all of this? And something. يعني as we call it in Arabic here, or جيبها وهي تايهة, how can you just get it in a very quick way and actually do a quick intervention to just check this health form of the organization and have this picture of the current that's their culture, but what are the elements that you need to work on?
uh, well, I don't know if there is a quick way, to be honest, but
Yeah.
are people engaged? Are people adding value to the organization? What about where's the gap between the perceived value when we hired these people, we thought that they would add versus what is happening on the ground? Are we achieving our objectives? And to what level are we achieving our objectives? Are we going in the direction where, when we started the company, we thought that this is what we want to do? So, looking at the performance, the engagement of the staff, the management and leadership practices, and if it is aligned with what we say and what we perceive, and aligned with where we want to go, this would be a quick. I think that this would be a quick way to look at the organization. Um, And again, surveys help a lot in here. So if I just go and sit with the founder, tell me about your company, express it in words, and he says, we are customer centric. One of our values is fun. We appreciate innovation, and people are accountable. Okay, so these are four values that this founder or a leader used to express the organization. And then I go and talk to the people from different levels, express the current values that you see in the organization. um, eh, for example, if someone tells me, it's stressful, and we asked for a rec area where we can have a break, but the management refused. How come that the leader says that one of our values is fun, while we don't have a rec area for people to get together where they can have? So an easy way to do it is to just to go and ask people how they express the current environment, the current the perception about the organization. And when they express it in words, and you start to ask them more about how these words are reflected in the organization and on on daily basis, and they start giving example and comparing it with what management perceive, you can see the gap, and hence you can better understand the culture, the current culture. And actually, bless you.
Thank you.
One of the cultures that you can find a lot is what we call the denial culture, is where the management and the leadership they make decisions, they speak about the company in a way that is totally isolated and totally different than what's really happening on the ground. They say that our people are motivated, highly motivated. They are giving the chance to do whatever they want, whenever they want. They are supportive. One of our values is innovation. And you go into in real life and see that people do not perceive this this
The working value of them.
yes. So, and when you see the gap, this is a denial culture. And again, it simply can be assessed by having this conversation.
Wow, amazing, Mehra. So actually, it's extensive interviews, maybe doing some assessments in some areas, surveys. It's
Yes.
different. So each and every intervention has its own design of how you can collect information, depending
Yes.
on the size of the organization, the dynamics, the people,
Yeah.
the diversity of roles, the diversity of culture, the geographic locations, the
Mm.
demography is there. I believe
Yes.
that there is no one way to assess a culture, but there are different
Yeah.
tools and different interventions, and the survey itself is something like an extensive process. It's not just a questionnaire and we will finish it. It's done.
Yeah,
It's a
I
build
would
up.
say that yeah, I would say that yeah, there are main milestones. First, understand the current culture. And in order to understand the current culture, you need to look at the main components: the system, the leadership profile, and the individual values in the organization and individual contributors. So you need to look at it, you need to study, and then assess the desired, or understand more about the desired. We can learn more about the desired stage by doing a vision board, for example, or conducting a survey, or by just meeting with the founders if it's a small organization, or by making workshops around the mission and vision of the organization. So the different, but understanding the current situation, understanding and visualizing the desired, assessing the gap, comparing between them again on different levels with different components, and then put the plan on how to transform. So we have like milestones, I would say, but the tools, the time frame, the interventions are different from one organization to another.
Amazing. So that takes us, to the last question that I wanted to ask you today before closing the episode. Now we are on the top of the 30 minutes.
Yes.
So if you want to, I know that you're providing, support for organizations and different stages for the leaders to
Yes.
become aware of what is happening there and actually
Yes.
self-learn and actually to start actually to shine through actually understanding what are the values, what is the culture, what's their role as
Yes.
a
Yes.
leader. And so can you talk to us about these two programs, transformation through values and values for partnership workshops, that you're providing?
Yeah. Okay,
Mhm.
so values for partnership. It's mainly three 3 days like workshop, and I designed it for startups where founders need first to understand more about their own values and how these values are currently reflected on their own organization, how it's enabling the organization to grow, and where the limitations are, and how to separate between their own values and the values required for the organization to grow, and how even to look at how the strength and limitation of each other, and to start working together in order and collaborate in order to make sure that their startup succeed. So it's a very small program with three interventions to help founders align, understand first, and align the values and with the values required for the organization. So this is number. This is the first program, and of course, lots and lots of things can be built after that. But this is the main program. Transformation through values is for, as I told you before, organizations transform or leaders transform. It's in the leadership transformation focus program away from where they start. It's like a self-awareness journey where they start to understand more about their own value system, how this value system is reflected on their behavior, manifested on their behavior, and the impact of all that on the organization itself. And then I help them to make some reflections, and set priorities to what needs to change, and then set plans on how to change it. So it's a transformation program for the leaders, uh, building on their own personal values and their aspirations.
Wow, it's amazing. And actually, I've been lucky to attend a couple of these interventions with you. And actually, I saw you many times in the facilitation rooms and talking about values from different angles to different, even to support coaches and facilitators to deliver this to others. And I know that you do this for something like 4 or 5 years now. So actually, I know that it's always comes in with great awareness, great values, and actually it's a major transformation for leaders and something to consider if you want to actually connect with Mehra directly on LinkedIn profile for any of these services. And really, today, Mehra, it was really amazing talking about the question of the day of what are the dynamics that form the existing culture of the organization. It was amazing how we talked about the different aspects of the leadership practices, the systems, the policies, the values, the behaviors that are manifested, and the culture fitness of the employees, and how these all as elements are introduced in that, and how the transformation happens when leaders actually transform, and how you provide this in two different workshops that are with two different deliverables for two different stages of organizations. And actually, there are many questions that we need to ask ourselves on how our culture is serving us to deliver the purpose, and
Yes.
actually on how we actually have to assess where we are now is depending on the dynamics, the demographics of our culture, the people, the size of the organization, the purpose of the organization will differ in the way
Yes.
how many white collars, blue collars, different positions that we
Yeah.
have, different roles. The different assessments and surveys will take different times and situations. So it's by design. It's not just one map that fits all. So actually, I was really, it was a real amazing journey with you today, Meher. And what will be the one last advice that you want to tell the leaders before we close this call or this live video before.
Okay. Um, I just want to tell them that they are the soul. Actually, they are the soul of the organization, and whatever they do, and all the work that they will do on themselves, understanding themselves, understanding their values, how these values are driving their decisions, their behaviors. All that will be reflected and will impact the organization, and they really need to transform if they want to help their organizations to transform.
So that's an amazing closure because this actually will be our next episode when we're talking about the leaders
Okay.
and their role and their shadow and their self-awareness and how it plays a role with the culture. It's so subhanallah, we didn't prepare it, but it came. So this will be the entry for our next episode. We will talk about
Yeah.
leaders and culture, and what how the self-awareness and the self-reflection and actually the shadow side of the leader, how it plays roles in the organization culture. Yeah. So thank you, Mehra. It's amazing as usual. It was a pleasure, and
Thank you.
have all a very nice day and good morning to everyone. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.